So you see, this interim phase, to make it, more detailed. I mean, to give you a more detailed concept, is basically, when it is like a effort onto the different, all the formal activities, and what are the things you need to look after, for example, within these particular activities. Maybe it is timing, it is money, it is budgets, and then also it will also be involving things like not only planning. So a lot of us, when we take quality assurance, we think of it as planning. Well, once we get everything planned, we think that things will work out as it is, but we forgot that we need to put in also a lot of checking point, like a checkpoint, whole point, checkpoint. So you need to know where your whole points are, where your checkpoints are, you see. So then when you know where your whole points are, checkpoints are, then we will put in our test, we will put in our checking at that particular stage. So in a way, we need to plan to check. So it's not good to say that we plan out our quality activities, our quality processes, but within the quality processes, you do not have any whole point and checkpoint. So QM, this interim phase, forces us to do these checkpoints, these whole points. And then it's just that when we deliver material to site, when the first whole point can be upon factory inspection. So you will put down in your material, like for example, concrete or polymers, whatever. So before it came out from the factory, before you can use it, we will have a first whole point, then or checkpoint. So in this checkpoint, we will need to put in certain things we need to watch out for. For example, we'll probably send some samples for testing. Is it independent? Is it independent testing, or is it external testing? Then when these things are being delivered, upload onto the cars, or upload into the vehicles, or upload onto transportations, deliver to the site or deliver to another production line or another section of the lines. What we will see is we will have another checkpoint to see whether maybe certain thickness is correct, or it's up to you to set up this checkpoint whole point. So then, or you can have some visual checking or some measurement checking before you place it into the next production line, or you went through the next process on the construction site, for example. So what we do is we set this whole point, we set this checkpoint. And, it's like the picture here is this quality assurance comprises of these two sections. One section you plan for the activities and processes. Another one you plan for the checking. And then also you must not remember that you can also have external effort to provide information to improve the internal processes. And that is also part of it. So you can actually some company that could probably use things like Serim. Serim is a Malaysian system of randomly checking some product and test some product. And then if there's a percentage of this product are being tested and they are fulfilling certain requirements, it means that the batch of the product that comes out is considered as okay. So it's just a lot of product testing, product checking. This is an organization for it. And then when we place a sticker of that particular Serim organization on our product, it basically says that this product has been checked, has been tested, you see, or some samples has been tested and some samples has been checked. And it fulfills the requirement, it fulfills the what it spells out, what it says it should be in the first place. That is how we look at Serim. Okay, in case some people don't understand what Serim is, you see. Then and then after that, but it is a very Malaysian system. I'm sure other countries have their own system. So Ibrahim, from your country, you probably have your own system. China, definitely, I'm pretty sure you have your own system. I know China have a lot of this ministry, a lot of this organization. They actually do a lot of this checking on food, on products, on clothing, So they actually hopefully, this is like government implemented kind of effort to make sure that the end users are not being cheated from their from what is supposed to be delivered to them in that sense. So there's a lot of committee, a lot of NGOs, a lot of government lead organization doing this sort of checking and determination whether this particular product is actually according to the requirement set up to be. So you can engage these external processes to help with your internal processes. So if let's say some processes for requirement resources, you say, oh, we will have it as CRIM approved or ISO approved. And by the way, ISO is not really like a checking. ISO is actually a management system. It's actually a QMS. It's about documentation. So it means that it tells the owner, it tells the client of the project to actually plan for your quality. And there is this document that you can do, can help you to do this, and then they will get you to also how to do your documentation, how to keep your files, and how to make sure that the file can be retrieved for auditing. And that is quite, that is all it is to ISO actually. So, and then it's like a process management, so procedures management sort of things. But a lot of people treat ISO, it's just, this is how Americans are very clever, intelligent, they use something that is really, really not worth any money, some knowledge, and then they package it into a system that is selling all over the world and making like billions of dollars with these sort of things. And in Malaysia, of course, we are so into ISO that, it is actually completely useless sometimes. So even if we have ISO certified, it just means that the company is doing the processes according to they are managing the processes according to the recommendation. They're doing filing, they're doing evidences to make sure that, the evidences can be traced back later on if there's any issue with the final product, for example. That's all. Okay. So yeah, you can engage all these external help or external processes to be incorporated with your internal processes as well. But it is an integration of planning and checking and auditing. So it's like you plan how it should be, then you plan to check, you plan to test, you plan rectification action, you plan how to specify products, and you plan to do remedial actions if it's not product, resources, for example, like material, like your machineries, and all this can actually help in terms of the final product coming out. So in a way, every project, for project quality management, you are actually creating your own quality assurance system. So if you start off doing proper quality assurance systems for your project, you list down what are the activities, objectives, and also what are the quality desired level of excellence or desired level of quality. And then these activities, you do your work method statement. From your work method statement, you also put down what are the essential critical steps of that must be there, that cannot be skipped. And then from there, you don't really split it down into very, very, very small part. Some of the major parts needs to be checked, then you check. And then after that, how to check and who to check and who is responsible for checking or taking the samples, for example. And then what time you need to take the samples, how many times you need to take the samples. And then from there, how many samples, and then you send for testing, what lab are you using? And then if the result comes up, what are the acceptance criteria? And if it doesn't fulfill, what do you do next? You see, so this basically is a very systematic way of looking at activities. And of course, we have resources. Resources, we must have this sort of requirement. And then when it's being delivered, when it's being put there, we will run it through, we'll cut it. If it's like, let's say if we're going to cut it or we're going to remeasure it or retailor it, for example, then we will have specific way of doing it. Then the subcomponents, we will use it for this purpose, that purpose, for example. Exercise. There's many ways of looking at it. So resources, like I said, we mainly focus on material. So if the material comes in, you do checking, or let's say if you specify it's actually approved by CRIM, then do you do any random checking? If you do random checking, like timber, roofing, steel, concrete, now we do some random checking on it. So if we specify random checking here, that means we are actually carrying out we're actually planning in terms of resources, you see.